Hello everyone, I welcome you all to this lecture. In this lecture, I am going to discuss the evolution of computers. So, we are pretty much familiar with the term computer. Computer is a machine. But how the computers are evolved and when the computers were evolving, the operating system were also evolving. So, first we discuss the evolution of computer and later on we will talk about the various operating systems as per the computer generations. So let's begin with the very first generation of computers. Those were came into existence somewhere around 1945 to 1955. In these computers were very large in size, like a big room. And these computers were using the vacuum tubes for connectivity, and they were only capable to do the serial processing, or you can say at a time only single process can be initiated. So until and unless one process will finish its execution or lifetime, another process will not be able to initiate. Then such kind of computers were used for numerical calculations. In terms of main memory, there were magnetic tapes. So magnetic tapes were used as memory in these computers. Machine language programming language were used to code the computer. So you can say low level language were used to program them. Size of the computers were very large, like a big giant room. So the operators were sitting inside the computer to operate that machine. And the processing speed, if we compare the modern computers nowadays, the speed was very slow. And the IO devices at that time were tapes or punch card. Example, if we consider like ENIAC or IBM 701. So let's have a look how ENIAC was looking. It was a giant room. So this is the computer, and these engineers, or you can say the computer operators, they are operating the things. There are different vacuum tubes are there. So it was very giant computer and it was not very easy to handle. Then the next generation computer came with the existence or transistors. So when the transistor came into existence, the new generation of computer, they came into the picture. That is second generation, somewhere around 1955 to 1965. Okay. And in these computers, assembly language were used to program. So assembly language is also low level language. And in these computer, batch processing were introduced. So a programmer were able to prepare a batch of different jobs, and batch can be punched on the punch card and can be inserted to the computer. So at that time, the IO was the magnetic tapes and punch cards. So the batch were being punched on the punch card, and then the computer start reading from the punch card reader. Examples IBM 1401 and UNIVAC 1107. So let's have a look how these computers were looking. The UNIVAC 1107, so there is a very uh, good picture of that computer is available. So the comparatively the size of UNIVAC as compared to the earlier computers were quite less. Okay, because these were based on the transistors. Then the next generation, the third generation came into existence somewhere around 1965 till 1980s, when we start using the integrated circuits or ICs in computers. So because the use of ICs, the computer size again reduced. And then we start using in these computers the high level languages like BASIC, COBOL and Pascal. Input devices we have used in these computers like keyboard, magnetic tapes, monitors, etc. So like we use in nowadays computers also, the modern computer. Multi-programming, and time sharing concepts were introduced in these computers. And if I consider the example IBM 360 and UNIVAC 1108, few example which we can consider. Now look at the IBM 360. So now if you compare the size of the machine, it was reduced further, and in this computer ICs were used. Then the next generation came in the existence somewhere around 1980 to 2000. And in these computers, these are like our personal computers which we used, microprocessor were introduced, and VLSI came into existence, very large scale integration on one particular chip. It was possible in that duration. Memory, RAM and ROM were used in these computers. And then we start using the high level languages like Java, Python and JavaScript kind of thing in these computers. And in this era, like in this time, embedded real-time and network programming concepts introduced. And if we consider, there are many examples in this generation like microprocessor based Apple computers and IBM computers has been designed in that era. Then the last generation, we can say the current generation, that is the fifth one, somewhere around from 2000 till the present time, we are using them. So these are modern computers. They are having capability to perform parallel processing. They have advanced parallel processing architecture support. They use ultra large scale integration, and these are suitable for doing the very you can say heavy task like IO, or you can say like AI based operations or natural language processing, or a number of complex like machine learning kind of concepts can be done on these computers within some fraction of time. So although the laptops, desktops and the smartphones nowadays can use the similar kind of technologies, I have taken one example of Japan's Fugaku supercomputers. That is the one of the fastest computers in the current era. So we consider the fastest computer of the world nowadays, the Fugaku from Japan. Right? Now in this description, I have used two terms like VLSI or ULSI. So let's look at the meaning is, there are these terms we use generally: small scale integration, medium scale integration, or large scale integration, very large and ultra large. So generally in terms of transistors or the devices which we are going to mount, we consider whether it is a small scale or medium scale, large scale. So the number of transistors in terms of like from 2 to 64 around is small scale, then 64 to 2000 around it is medium scale, the large scale somewhere around 64,000 around from 2000 to very large scale somewhere around 2 million transistors are connected on a particular device. And if it is beyond 2 million, then we can say ultra large scale. Okay, so I hope this description will help you to understand and recall the different generation of computers. In the next lecture, I am going to discuss the variety of operating systems, because when the computers were evolving, the operating system natures and the functionalities, roles and responsibilities were also changing. So there were different generations or different types of operating systems. Okay, so see you in the next class. Thank you for connecting.